Chapter 97 On the Road to Belgium. A few minutes after the scene of confusion produced in the salons of Monsieur Danglars by the unexpected appearance of the brigade of soldiers, and by the disclosure which had followed, the large hotel was deserted with a rapidity which the announcement of a case of plague or of cholera among the guests would have caused. In a few minutes, through all the doors, down all the staircases, by every issue, each one had hastened to retire, or rather to fly, for it was one of these circumstances in which it is useless to attempt to impart that common consolation which makes even the best friends importunate under great catastrophes. There remained in the banker's hotel only Danglars, shut up in his cabinet, and making a statement to the officer of police. Madame Danglars, terrified, in the boudoir with which we are acquainted, and Eugenie, who, with haughty air and disdainful lip, had retired to her room with her inseparable companion, Mademoiselle Louise d'Armilly. As for the numerous servants, more numerous than that evening than usual, for their number was augmented by the cooks and butlers of the Café de Paris, venting on their employers their anger at what they termed the insult. They collected in groups in the hall, in the kitchen, or in their rooms, thinking very little of their duty, which was thus naturally interrupted. Of all this household, agitated by such different interests, only two individuals deserve our notice. These are Mademoiselle Eugenie Danglars and Mademoiselle Louise d'Armilly. The bride had retired, as we said, with haughty air, disdainful lip, and the demeanor of an outraged queen, followed by her companion, paler and more affected than herself. On reaching her room, Eugenie locked her door, while Louis fell on a chair. "Ah, what a dreadful thing!" said the young musician. "Who would have suspected it? Monsieur Andrea Cavalcanti, a murderer, a galley slave, escaped a convict." An ironical smile curled the lips of Eugenie. "In truth, I was fated," said she. "I escaped the Morcerf only to fall into Cavalcanti." "Oh, do not confound the two, Eugenie. Hold your tongue. These men are all infamous, and I am happy to be able now to do more than detest them. I despise them." "What shall we do?" asked Louise. "What shall we do?" "Yes." "Why, the same we had intended doing 3 days since. Set off." "What? Although you are not now going to be married, you intend still? Listen, Louis. I hate this life of the fashionable world, always ordered, measured, ruled like our musical paper, and what I have always wished for, desired, and coveted is the life of an artist, free and dependent, relying only on my own resources, and accountable only to myself. Remain here. What for? That they may try, a month hence, to marry me again. And to whom? To Monsieur Debray, perhaps, as it was once proposed. No, Louis, no. This evening's adventure will serve for my excuse. I did not seek one. I did not ask for one. God sends me this, and I hail it joyfully." "How strong and courageous you are," said the fair girl to her brunette companion. "Did you not know me? Come, Louis, let's talk of our affairs. The post-chaise was happily bought 3 days since. Have you had it sent where we are to go for it?" "Yes." "Our passport?" "Here it is." And Eugenie, with her usual precision, opened a printed paper and read: "Monsieur Léon d'Armilly, 20 years of age, profession, artist, hair black, eyes black, traveling with his sister." "Capital! How did you get this passport?" "When I went to ask Monsieur de Monte Cristo for letters for the directors of the theatres at Rome and Naples, I expressed my fears of traveling as a girl. He perfectly understood them, and undertook to procure for me a man's passport, and 2 days after I received this, to which I have added with my own hand, traveling with his sister." "Well," said Eugenie, cheerfully, "we have then only to pack up our trunks. We shall start the evening of the signature, instead of the evening of the wedding, that's all." "Reflect well, Eugenie." "Oh, I have finished all my reflections. I am tired of hearing only of reports, of the end of the month, of up and down of Spanish funds, of Haytian paper. Instead of that, Louis, do you understand? Air, liberty, melody of birds, plains of Lombardy, Venetian canals, Roman palaces, and the Bay of Naples. How much have we, Louis? The young girl to whom this question was addressed drew from an inlaid secretaire a small portfolio with a lock, in which she counted 23 banknotes. 23,000 francs, said she. And as much more, at least, in pearls, diamonds, and jewels, said Eugenie. We are rich. With 45,000 francs we have enough to live as princesses during 2 years, and comfortably during two. But before 6 months, you with your music, and I with my voice, we shall double our capital. Come, you shall take charge of the money, I of the jewel box, so that if one of us had the misfortune to lose her treasure, the other would still have hers left. Now, the valise. Let's make haste. The valise. Stop, said Louis, going to listen at Madame Danglars' door. What do you hear? That we may be discovered. The door's locked. They may tell us to open it. They may if they like, but we will not. You are a perfect Amazon, Eugenie. And the two young girls began to heap into a trunk all the things they thought they should require. There now, said Eugenie, while I change my costume, do you lock the valise. Louise pressed with all the strength of her little hands on top of the portmanteau. But I cannot, said she. I am not strong enough. Do you shut it? Ah, you're right, said Eugenie, laughing. I forgot I was Hercules, and you only a pale omphale. And the young girl, kneeling on the top, pressed the two parts of the portmanteau together, and Mademoiselle d'Armilly passed the bolt of the padlock through. When this was done, Eugenie opened a drawer, of which she kept the key, and took from it a wadded violet silk travelling cloak. Here, said she, you will see I have thought of everything. With this cloak you will not be cold. But you? Oh, I am never cold, you know. Besides, with these men's clothes. Will you dress here? Certainly. Shall you have time? Do not be uneasy, you little coward. All our servants are busy discussing the grand affairs. Besides, what is astonishing, when you think of the grief I ought to be in, that I shut myself up? Tell me. No, truly, you comfort me. Come and help me. From the same drawer whence she had taken the mantle that she gave to Mademoiselle d'Armilly, who had already put it on, she took a complete man's costume, from the boots to the coat, and a provision of linen, where there was nothing superfluous but every requisite. Then, with a promptitude which indicates this was not the first time she amused herself by adopting the garb of the opposite sex, Eugenie drew on the boots and pantaloons, tied her cravat, buttoned her waistcoat up to the throat, and put on a coat which admirably fitted her beautiful figure. Oh, this is very good. Indeed, it is very good, said Louis, looking at her with admiration. But that beautiful black hair, those magnificent braids, which made all the ladies sigh with envy. Will they go under a man's hat like the one I see down there? You shall see, said Eugenie, and seizing with her left hand the thick mass, which her long fingers could scarcely grasp, she seized with her right hand a pair of long scissors, and soon the steel met through the rich and splendid hair, which fell entire at the feet of the young girl, who leaned back to keep it from her coat. Then she passed to the front hair, which she also cut off, without expressing the least regret. On the contrary, her eyes sparkled with greater pleasure than usual under her eyebrows, black and ebony. Oh, the magnificent hair, said Louis, with regret. And I meant not 100 times better thus, cried Eugenie, smoothing the scattered curls of her hair, which had now quite a masculine appearance. And do you not think me handsomer so? Oh, you're beautiful, always beautiful, cried Louis. Now, where are we going? To Brussels, if you like. It is the nearest frontier. We can go to Brussels, Liège, Aix-la-Chapelle, then up the Rhine to Strasbourg. We will cross Switzerland and go down to Italy by Mount St. Gothard. Will that do? Yes. What are you looking at? I'm looking at you, indeed. You're adorable like that. One would say you were carrying me off. Ah, they would be right. Oh, I think you swore, Eugenie. And the two young girls, whom everyone might have thought plunged in grief, the one in her own account, the other from interest in her friend, burst out laughing as they cleared away every visible trace, the disclosure which had naturally accompanied the preparation for their escape. Then, having blown out their lights, with an inquiring eye, listening ear, and extended neck, the two fugitives opened the door of a dressing-room which led, by a side staircase, down to the yard, Eugenie going first, and holding with one arm of the portmanteau, which by the opposite hand Mademoiselle d'Armilly scarcely raised with both hands. The yard was empty. The clock was striking 12. The porter was not yet gone to bed. Eugenie approached softly and saw the old man sleeping soundly in an armchair in his lodge. She returned to Louis, took up the portmanteau, which she had placed for a moment on the ground, and they reached the archway under the shadow of the wall. Eugenie concealed Louis in the angle of the gateway, so that if the porter chanced to awake, he might see but one person. Then, placing herself in the full light of the lamp which lit the yard, "Gate!" cried she, with her finest contralto voice, and rapping at the window. The porter got up as Eugenie expected, and even advanced some steps to recognize this person who was going out, but seeing a young man striking his foot impatiently with his riding whip, he opened it immediately. Louis slid through the half-open gate like a snake, and bounded lightly forward. Eugenie, apparently calm, although in all probability her heart beat somewhat faster than usual, went out in her turn. A porter was passing. They gave him the portmanteau. Then the two young girls, having told him to take it to number 36 Rue de la Victoire, walked behind this man, whose presence comforted Louis. As for Eugenie, she was strong as Judith or Delilah. They arrived at the appointed spot. Eugenie ordered the porter to put down the portmanteau, give him some pieces of money, and having rapped at the shutter, sent him away. The shutter where Eugenie had rapped was that of a little laundress, who had been previously apprised, and was not yet gone to bed. She opened the door. "Mademoiselle," said Eugenie, "let the porter get the post-chaise from the coach-house, and fetch some post-horses from the post-station. Here are 5 francs for his trouble." "Indeed," said Louis, "I admire you, and I could almost say respect you." The laundress looked on in astonishment, but as she had been promised 20 louis, she made no remark. In a quarter of an hour the porter returned with a post-boy and horses, which were harnessed, and put to the post-chaise in a minute, while the porter fastened the portmanteau on with the assistance of a cord and strap. "Here's the passport," said the postilion. Which way are we going, young gentleman?" "To Fontainebleau," replied Eugenie, with an almost masculine voice. "What do you say?" said Louis. "I am giving this slip," said Eugenie. "This woman to whom we have given 20 louis may betray us for 40. We will soon alter our direction." And the young girl jumped into the britzka, which was admirably arranged for sleeping in, without scarcely touching a step. "You are always right," said the seeing governess, seated herself by the side of her friend. And quarter of an hour afterward, the postilion, having been put in the right road, passed, cracking his whip, through the gateway of the Barrière Saint-Martin. "Ah," said Louis, breathing freely, "here we're out of Paris." "Yes, my dear, and the escape is good and well reflected," replied Eugenie. "Yes, and without violence," said Louise. "I shall bring that forward as an extenuating circumstance," replied Eugenie. These words were lost in a noise which the carriage made in rolling over the pavement of La Villette. The Englers had lost his daughter.